All right, where are we? I'm gonna open up Golf Clash. We just finished up the Eastern Odyssey tournament. Let's see where I finished up. I was in second yesterday, but I'm not sure if somebody came up and went past me. I knew going in that you'd have to shoot better than a 30. You'd have to shoot a 31 or better in order to have any shot. And hole number 8 was my nemesis. I could not get. I was in the right spot both times. Had all the right stuff. Every single time during the week that I hit it perfect, it went in the hole, and every single time I didn't hit it perfect, it didn't go in the hole, and I caught 2 shots on front and back, didn't hit perfect, and that was the one I needed right there. Either side, I mean, either one of those would have gave me the 31, and I had the person in first and tiebreaker, so that's the way the cookie crumbles. So second place, not bad, still not shabby. A bunch of people at 30. Tiebreakers are important. And I went over the cup on hole number 18. And I knew I was going to come in a little hot, but I've been coming in short all week. But we had pure tailwind. And instead of shortening it up a little bit, I didn't want to risk being short. So I left it long and went right in between the flagpole and the edge of the cup, went right over the top of the cup. So I had lots of opportunities to get to 31. But didn't do it. I'm looking for big toppers. That's what I want. Big topper. Come on, big topper. Ah. Would have liked to have had 11 big toppers right there. Would have liked to have had 12 big toppers right there. No dice. Dang it. I've gotten lucky over the years and gotten a lot of big toppers. But I really could have used some big toppers right there. So I went and looked at Tommy's site. And we doesn't have the new course up yet, but we're playing at City Park in this next 9-hole cup. Let's see what I got. On my big topper, I'm at 308 of 400 to get it maxed out. So if I could have got any that I can get on there, like it's the only club that shows up in the store that I buy a few. I don't have a high enough trophy count to get any of the really good stuff in the store, but the big topper occasionally shows up and I'll buy 3. So I've been working on it diligently because at level 8, at level 7 it picks up some distance and it really becomes a viable club. But at level 8, it's a contender. Really working on it. All right, let's go through all of my shit that I gotta open up, and we will play City Park. Here, let's go see what the golden shot is. Now, I will tell you, if you don't watch Tommy's stuff, it's worth watching the golden shot because you will. I mean, if you watch Tommy's stuff, you'll have fun, especially if you play Masters. But if you want to get good at the golden shot, you got to watch. Tommy will definitely dial you in on that. Definitely. Faux show. But I, of course, am going to be an idiot and just go out there and play it. We'll see which hole it is. Now, there might be, I think with a normal club, there might be a rough bump here, but I don't anticipate we're going to be able to do the rough bump. I think you got to have a big dog or excuse me, a Goliath. Let's check our bag. Wood's only got 50 topspin, 50-50. They both only have 50 topspin, so it's 1.7 per ring with a. We'll go wing it. We'll wing it. We're definitely taking it with a long iron, so it's 6.8 times 1.1 equals divided by 1.7. 4.4 rings. I'm on like just a titch of topspin. 4.4 rings. We'll see how bad I do. You guys are probably going, dude, that's not what you're supposed to do. You're probably right. Wandering great to the left. Yo, left. In the hole! Can't be good, be lucky. Look at that. Look at that, an obsidian chest. Let's see if I can get some big toppers here. I can take some apox here. Tsunami. You know, my tsunami's been at 49 of 50 for like 3 years. And it's come up many times in the club card trading, but I'm not. It's so far away from being usable that I'm not dumping points into it. Well, there you have it. I did get 9 more berserkers. That's good. Not bad. Would have liked to got some apox right there, because I'm getting my apoc. I'm 88 of 200 to get it to level 7. So I mean, I would have loved to have gotten some apox right there. So I mean, I've been getting the apoc like maybe once a month, maybe twice a month in the club card trading. So I'm 40 away. So it's gonna take me 20 months, 2 more years. Would have liked to have gotten some right there. That would have been for sure. For sure. Let me change this bag up. I'm going to go with my big dog. Let's make sure I got some bags set up, and we'll go out there and we'll play this this course. Get some protein in me. I got home and I was like, damn, I forgot to eat all day. Okay, there we go. Let's see how many practice tokens I have. Is this what this is? The Big Apple 9-hole club? I could have swore it was under a different name. We're playing City Park. Let's make sure we're playing the right course. Now, I'm not a real big fan of City Park, but we're playing the new pin placements. It's been a mixed bag on City Park. I've done really well on City Park, and then I've had days where I epic failed. So we shall see. 30. Damn it. So close. You got 1,000,000 miles away. I think on City Park, I could be wrong. I think on City Park there's one of the par 5s that's really normally we look at par 5s as their eagle holes with an Albi opportunity. I think there's one of the par 5s that's a birdie opportunity or it's an eagle opportunity and a birdie shot. So many practice tokens I have. I might have to buy some. Oh, I do have 9. Excellent. I have just enough. But I'm gonna put something on to give me some more, just in case Denner wants to play this week. I'm gonna do a walkthrough here in Ricky, but I'm gonna play Ricky with my 77 account. But what I'm gonna start doing is playing pro with my odd account. trying to get my auto account to tier 3 and pro so that I can try and hook up with Dunner, because Dunner's been shooting content on his channel for pro, and that way I can jump in and try and match up with him. Alright, let's go look at hole number 1. Hole number 1. Now, to be honest with you, I can't remember where the pin is. So if you're playing with this old pin placement, let me get my pin working. With this old pin placement, there's a spot. This is downhill, and there's a ridge that runs like this, and then there's a little bit of a trough, and that comes up the hill. There's several ways you can play it. This is a great one to backspin. I believe you're playing it with your long iron. If you got a long iron that's got backspin, you can come up here and try and backspin it down the hill. And I've made that shot a bunch of times. That was for a while my preferred shot to go at this hole, was to just try and stick it. It's one of those holes that if you end up being short, it could roll back down the hill into this trough down here, and you could end up with a hell of a putt. But there is a spot that you can hit right here, where you're right at the apex of that little, where it comes up the hill and then it rolls back down and then comes back up, and you can hit right along that ridge. And I believe it was like a plus 10 or a plus 15%. And one of the tournaments we had, our teammate Kyle really worked on he worked on the par 3s. I was working on the par 4s. And he figured out these par 3s in this, and he sank them like, he took like 30 shots that week and sank like 26. We got a lot of hole-in-ones that week. I was playing 2 accounts and I got like 8. But what really was funny was I missed them on the weekend round, and actually one of them, I not only did I not get the hole-in-one, but I missed the putt. And I still came back and won the tournament. I still shot like a 31 that week. I was on fire. We really had the course down that week, but these par 3s can be tricky, but I can't remember where the pin is, so let's go out there and play it. Let's go play it. Probably don't need to take a good ball. I'm going to take a Quasar just in case. Just in case I need some side spin. I don't think you do though. But I can't remember where the hole is, so I got that going for me. And let me set up a bag here just in case. If you really wanted to go for the backspin on it, like, you can get it done with less than that backspin. Like a Saturn to work really well. Saturn gives you a pretty good ball guide at 3.9. With the Grim Reaper, which I got at 3.8. Very similar, more backspin. That Grim Reaper's got more distance too. Yeah, it's got a couple more yards of distance than the Saturn. Grizzly should work on it. Alright, let's try it. We will practice it once. Practice hole number 1. The par 3s are usually, like, there are some par 3s that I just absolutely remember, but a lot of the par 3s in these games I don't. A lot of them roll together for me, and they all look the same. On the 2D picture, you get out there on the course and you can tell the differences, but a lot of these, it's like they changed a couple things and they changed the terrain slightly, but it looks the same. If I can get an opponent. Thank you, Ruthie. Not to be confused with Roofie. Roof. That pin placement is a little more. It's like right in this area right here. Really have to backspin it to get it there. You could probably do a dunk with that pin placement. You can see how much backspin I got to do in order to get it there, but you can probably do, if you brought out a club that had more backspin, you could actually go for a dunk right here. But you can go for the shot in this area right here where you're following your ball guide down and try and get, you can see how the ball guide's going right there, and pick your spot. We'll try that one just for shits and giggles. Now I'm in a timeout. Let's see where I'm at in my club. There's Max. There's min. I'm at mid club right there. I'm at mid club at the hole with a 1 power ball. If you wanted to try a dunk there, just you could bring a 2 power ball so that you'd be at pretty much dead mid club. This wouldn't be a bad hole to do a dunk on, just because you can recover. Now the bad part about that is that if you suck yourself too much down that hill and you pick up any speed and you go down the flat, you could have a shit putt. From where you're hitting to where the cup is, it's not that much of an elevation change. I'm gonna do a 10%, just because I know there is an adjustment we need to do here, and I'm gonna do the backspin where I come down the hill. Do I have enough backspin? Is there a spot where I have enough backspin to get me there? Yes, there is. I know there is. I was just doing it a minute ago. .8 divided by, that's 5.28 rings. 5.28 rings. And I hit it great to the right. In that situation, though, the great to the right is only going to hurt me because I'm going to get stuck in the fringe and not be able to come back down the hill. There's several ways that we can go at that hole. I'm not so sure that just going at it, straight at it, probably might be better. And it might be better on a hole like that too, as I put on left-hand side spin, but it might be better. I can think of several other holes that I do a max backspin shot like that, and I'm trying to bring it down the hill and follow the tail down, where instead of, even though the hole's on the left, instead of putting left-hand side spin, you put right-hand side spin. So when the ball hits, like here's the pin, and here's the hillside. When it hits, instead of automatically going in this direction, going in the direction of the cup, it hits and it's spinning around and it comes to the right, and then it almost comes to a stop, and then it just rolls down the hill. And really your spin has nothing to do with it at that point, because it's already come to its point where it's released all of its spin, and now gravity takes hold, and so it rolls truer down the hill. Whereas when you put this on it, the ball's wanting to do, it's still affected by the spin because it can release as it's moving, and so you can end up with varying results. So on a shot like that where you're doing max backspin on a hillside like that, putting the opposite side spin on it to get the ball to come to a stop and then roll down the hill, that would probably be a better way to go at it. Now, I'm not so sure that Grim Reaper wouldn't be a good club there. It doesn't have as much ball guide as the Grizzly, so you're not going to get as full a read, but you can get more backspin. Even a Saturn might be good, because it doesn't have quite all of its backspin, but it is pretty good. All right, hole number two. Hole number two. Let's look at it. I think this is the blind curl shot here. It is. Okay, a couple warning things about this hole, just for everybody out there, is I will tell you that I think the pin is a little closer to the front than where, like, normally, like, here's your green, and the pin was kind of like dead center in the old configuration. I think it's closer to the front than it was before. But you can, if you land yourself right in this area right here, you have a wood shot to the cup. And you'll have to start off down here and bounce it over. And it is a little bit tricky as far as like how it's going to bounce out on the other side, because you're down here in this trough, you're in this trough down low, and then when it comes up on the green, you're hitting it on kind of a hillside domed area right here, and it can do a little bit of weird stuff when you're trying to bounce it up there. But you can get it when you're bouncing it up there, where you can get down here a little bit and you can run your topspin out, and your topspin will actually flatten. And you can get a pretty good read on the cup if you're using a sniper. So like this is a safe shot, and it's super easy to get to that point, and you don't have to really involve any of the traps. You can start off in here and you can just get the ball there. If you really want to go for the cup so that you're starting off on the other side, you really need to get into this area. And if you want to change your club and go from wood, wood's pretty much like in this zone. If you want to get into wood, you got to get here. Hold on one second. All right, I'm back. So I think if you have a 3-power ball, I think your red line for your wood is in here. And if you're right in this zone, you're like at minimum club. So if you're in this area right in here with a wood, with a 3-power ball, you're in minimum club. And I think you're still bouncing it over. Starting off at the bottom and bouncing it over. Minimum club. Let's think here. But if we want to get over to the other side, then we've got to get through this neck. So here's the thing about, this is the first hole in the game that really had this effect. You can see all the undulation, you can see all the shadows that are on this 2D picture, like there's a shadow right here, and there's all, and when you're out on the course it's even worse, where the course is going like this. It's just got all these little undulations, and they're undulations, right? So imagine your ball comes flying in, and you've got, let me draw it on here. You got this undulation, and your ball comes flying in, woo, and hits down here, and then it bounces out just like it's supposed to. But your ball comes flying in and it hits right here. Instead of bouncing out like this, it's hitting on this slope, and so your ball is coming in like this, and the slope's coming in like this, and so when the ball hits, it loses all of its upward energy, and it starts to, it may take a hop, and then it slides across the course, and it releases its energy and just roll. It's like you hit the sidewalk and you're just rolling along the sidewalk. And you can go from a shot where you were just trying to lay it up right here, and you were being super safe, to where you're in the sand. So it can be dangerous to lay it up here. So I'm going for this spot. You can get aggressive and try and really get out into this zone. So now you're in long iron range. I'm just trying to get right through the mouth. And there's a blind curl shot that you can do. And I got to remember the deal. So if I draw a line from this transitional point where we got rough and we got fairway, if I draw a line through that, I believe from that point I'm 3 rings off. So I'm like in this zone. So I'm pointing out here into fucking nowhere. And then I'm going to add on 10% onto the wind for the drive. And I'm going to take a blind curl shot. And what I'm trying to do is make up this difference. And I'm going to use a rock. Now you could use an APOC, and you can get more forward distance. But I'm not so sure. I'd have to change my shot setup. So like if I want to use a rock, I'm in this zone right here, and then I'm taking a blind curl shot trying to make up this difference. And here's where the red line is. But if I bring out an APOC, it hits 15 yards farther, so my red line's now up here. So if I did the same, and they got about the same curl, so now my curl's taking me in this direction, and I'm ending up in the rough. So the way to combat that, there's 2 things you could do. You could pull back from the red line so that you're in the same spot, and my APOC has more topspin, so I could net more yardage on the other side. Or you have to set your shot up more to the left so that you're setting your shot up and you're in this area, so that you're trying to make up this angle to try and go. Those are the 2 ways to set that up. If anybody has a problem with that, you should let me know in the comments, because I could shoot a video on these angles. A lot of people don't get it. Hopefully all of you get it, but a lot of people, they must not get it, because I can see them do it when they're setting shots up in tournaments and in one-on-one play, where it's like you're not understanding how the angles work here. Sometimes you can get so far forward, you bring out a bigger club, and you would have been better off using your quarterback, because you're so far forward now that yes, you've got more distance out here, but now your angles have changed, and you need to go more to the left in order to make that shot work. I'll try it with an APOC and we'll just see. Let's go out there and let's see what we can do as far as pounding it. I know we can just get it to go right through the neck. I'll demo just the right through the neck. Okay, I timed out. I sat there and talked about that hole for so long. Dale Appleby gives me shit about talking about par threes for 15 minutes, and hey, it's important. It's important stuff, man. The Big Apple. I remember when these holes first came out. The first time they came out was the Christmas tournament in 2017. And they came into Tour 9. And I've told the story here just recently where I went into Tour 9 and I won half the trophies the first day. And then I went to bed and I was like, okay, tomorrow I'll be done with Tour 9. I can go to Tour 10. And then 3 months later, I finished Tour 9. When I woke up the next morning, they announced the Christmas tournament for 2017. And these City Park holes were now in Tour 9. And they took the other course out, and I can't remember what the other course was, but I was like, that was one of my favorite courses, and they took it out, and then they put these holes in here, and these holes with like mid-level clubs are brutal. Okay, I'm going to take it. It works better with a Kingmaker, but I'm going to take a Titan. Why? Because I can. And it works better for that side spin. I'll first just demo just to hit the shot, and we'll see what the deal is. Trying to pound it down there is really all about your ball inventory and your club levels. So, if you have an APOC 5, it's got more topspin and it got more curl, or there's at one point level 4 or one of those points where it gets more curl and it's at a point. And it might be that one. Maybe it is that one. Maybe I was thinking over here, but it actually, I think it is this one. Maybe 4 rings off. So you can see, I'll put my line on it. Where my center line is, where it's on the transition right here between the fairway and the rough, I'm going to be 4 rings off from that line. Max topspin. 2.7 rings, and I don't know that I need to use any overpower here, but I'm going to do it with overpower. 2.7. And that was 2 rings great to the right. That'll put me either in the sand, or I'm going to be real lucky and bounce over it. And that's why I said right there it works better with a 3 side spin ball. With a 3 side spin ball, I would have been right down through the center as opposed to coming in on the right. Even if I'd hit it perfect right there, I barely would have been through the center. And a 3 side spin ball works better. If I was going to use a 2 side spin ball, I should have set myself up 4 or 5 rings off of that transitional point. Another good reason to have a grid, because you have that center line, and you can put the center line where you're going to start, because you're out in the middle of nowhere there, and then you can make your pull. It's a blind curl shot. I'm not sure what Tour Greenock Point's in right now, but Greenock Point used to be in Tour 5 and 10, and that is the one course. That's the first course we originally got to. There's courses where you can do blind curl shots, but that was the first course that you really, really, really learned how to do blind curl shots. I'm going to take off 10%. There's max. I'm at mid club, or minimum. So 0.9 times 4.3 divided by 1.3, 2.97 rings. .97 rings. Hey. Oh, it's the same thing that was happened to me yesterday. I was in a grate to the great hitting grates. We do have a good shot there, and I'm pretty sure it's minus 10. Or it's minus something. Minus 5, minus 10, it's minus something. See if my opponent can get up there. No dice. All right. There's several ways we can play that. I've reminded myself what the hole is. So this is where Monday comes in really handy, or the first qualifying round comes in handy. If it was a regular tournament, Monday's always the day you can go out there and you practice for free. You don't have to spend any practice tokens or have to buy something that gives you practice tokens. But since it's a 9-hole cup, you only have one day to practice. So, and this is where a practice account comes in really handy, where you can really go out and practice. It's true with every hole in Golf Clash, but holes like this, especially when you're doing shots like that, it's all about what you have in your bag. Because I've got a rock that's got all of its curl. So what I can get done with that rock, and it's got more distance. You might have to do with an APOC, or you might have to, you know, you might use a quarterback and it doesn't have as much curl or as much top spin. So, and if you're ever doing a blind curl shot, if you're not, you know, you haven't done blind curl shots, you have to practice them. Otherwise you will run into the wall. And you find a spot out there like I found, and I will be honest with you, I always get it wrong. I always think, oh yeah, we're going here, but we went off of this one. So I was 4 rings off of that spot out in this area, pointing, if you draw a line there, pointing off into here in the freaking nowhere and trying to make up this distance. And so you're looking at this angle right here, and you may have a club that doesn't have as much side spin. So what you may do, or excuse me, as much curl, you may start off on this side and be 5 rings off on that side. So you're here, and then you're doing the blind curl shot. Find some marker out there, some spot that's consistent, so that every time you get out there, you pull to that spot and then you take the wind out. Even doing a max overpower hook shot, I always take the wind out. I mean, we always take the wind out of our shots. If we set it up and you go, wow, that's the spot, and you haven't adjusted for the wind's going to push you and you're not going to be in that spot anymore. I like blind curl shots, and this is one of those holes that you can do that. Now, you can bring out big stuff and you can line up to go straight through here. A lot of times when I see people do this, your bounces in this area, if you're trying to do it straight, are on this kind of a movement of the course. And it's really hilly here, so if you hit right here, you get the bounce you're looking for, but if you hit a great to the left, you hit up on the hillside, and now the ball goes wonky. It goes to the left. And at the very end of your run, you're trying to make it go to the left in order to not run into the rough. I see a lot of people that take that shot and they achieved exactly what they wanted, and then they overshot it and ended up in the rough. For my money on a hole like this, we have a fairway that's going in this direction, and we have curl. So if we can find the spot out here to set our club up in, and we've got with whatever club we're using, and we figure out that spot, we can do a blind curl shot, and then we won't run out of fairway. We'll just continue to run down the fairway until we come to a stop. Now we can get maximum distance. Maximum distance. Probably take this with a big topper and really get the deal. If you got a midline red top, or when it's at its like 215, 218 range, it's probably red line somewhere in this neighborhood, and you could just get that ball to go down in there, and you got 100% topspin. I think you can really get it down there if you line the shot up. You can take it with any club, but that's just how I'm going to play it. All right, that's how I'm going to play it. What hole are we on? We're on hole number 3. Hole number 3. Hole number 3. Da 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 da. All right. This hole right here is why they sell 5 power 0 wind or 5 power topspin boost balls, especially if you got a low wind topspin boost ball or a 0 wind, because you can, there's several ways that you can play this. You can just lay it up here at the top, and if you lay it up at the top, you are relegating yourself to 3 shots to get on. And what your goal is from here is to then end up in this zone, and then you have a straight shot at the cup. And this is a very makeable shot, but it is from distance. And you definitely have, and the farther you can get up through this little channel right here, the better. So if you're taking that shot, just a couple, okay, first of all, you really have to work your topspin so that you do not end up in the rough or the sand. You can recover. That's the good news. If you got a Nirvana and a sniper, or excuse me, a Spitfire, you can recover. You can get yourself down into here and then still get on in 3, because you've relegated yourself to getting on in 3, and you can still recover. And you can still recover and still have a decent shot at getting the eagle, because this is a birdie hole with an eagle opportunity. In one-on-one play, I almost always hit into the rough out here. I go for it. I go from as far as I can out here, and I try and get myself over to this fairway, and I invariably end up in the rough. And there's a max overpower hook shot that you can do, and it's a reverse hook, where you're putting on all of the side spin to the right, and then you're curling it to the left, or you're curling it to the right and all of the side spin on the left, so that it's coming in this direction right here. It's coming in this direction right here for the first bounce. Let's clear this out. Let's back out a little. You're getting the ball so that it's coming into this point, and then as soon as side spin doesn't take effect until the ball touches the ground. So it touches the ground the first time, and instead of continuing to go on this trajectory, it hits the ground and it starts spinning it off, and you can make up about half of it. If you had a big, like a 4 or 5 side spin ball, you could probably make up enough to get yourself going in this direction, and it's possible that you could end up here, because I've ended up like right in this area where if I look to the left, there was fairway, but I didn't have enough side spin to get me around and straighten the ball back out. There is a max overpower hook shot that you can do, but you can bring out a 5-power ball and pound it. If you've got tailwind, it's makeable, where you can just pound it out here and then try and bleed through this and come in. I always like to come in where I'm coming in like this and bringing it back to the right, because this is kind of uphill and then it falls off to the right. If you hit right here, if you hit in this area, it's flat and you really won't get any benefit. But if you hit out here in the rough, it's going to roll, it's going to break off to the right, and you're going to pick up a little bit just from gravity going down the hill. Whereas if you come straight out it, you won't get that effect, and it may just get caught up in the rough. But you can try and bounce it out there. But if you have a tailwind day and a 0-power ball or a 0 wind ball, you can get that extra little bit of distance, and you can fairly easily make it over. But if you have a topspin boost ball, even on a headwind day, because that was the problem on this hole, is that if we had a headwind day, even if you had a low wind 5-power ball, it was hard to beat up against it and still make it over. It was possible, but it wasn't consistent. But with the topspin boost balls, that's a game changer. There's going to be a lot more people making it over here because we have 5-power topspin boost balls. Now, I will say this. If you make it over into this area, you can congratulate yourself that you got over there, but that was only shot number 1. You still have one more shot to get on the green. And this next shot can be difficult. Very difficult, because you're bouncing off from the bottom down here, and then this is kind of like the hill that I was talking about on the earlier hole, where you're down here, you're down in a trough, and then you're coming up to the green, and you got this, and it's sloping off this way on this side. It's kind of flat on this side, and it's very easy to roll off. Like if you hit it with too much speed, where it got its bounce, and then it got its bounce, and then it rolls flat, because you can get that same flat trajectory here where it hits, and then it just rolls flat. You'll end up popping off. I've ended up back in this area quite a few times. So the second shot is no give me. And the really bad thing about the second shot is that you're not going to get to practice that from the same spot, because one time you'll have just gotten through, and the next time you'll have cleared it pretty good, and the next time you'll be right here, and the next time you'll be right here, and every one of those is different. I would recommend bringing for the second shot a bigger club, like a Big Dog, a Cataclysm, a Horizon, a Guardian, something that hits longer, because where you really want to do is you want to be in front of that sand, so you're hitting here, and then you can really control it. If you're having to hit off to the side, then you're starting from here and you're going in this trajectory. Then you want the ball to go in this trajectory. Then you need it to come back. So you're trying to get it to do an S, and that's never a good scenario. And you would think that it would be better here to just, like if you were in this zone, to just aim here and then you could just try and bring it around the thing. But the way that the course is laid out here, that shot's not as, it doesn't look as good as it does on paper. Let's try it. Let's try it. We have no idea which way the wind is blowing. You want to bring the biggest hitting, most topspin club that you have. And I'm 100% sure that if you brought out one of those 5-power topspin boost balls, you got this covered. You got it covered like a Jimmy hat. Something like this, where you got a three wind and topspin boost. On headwind or tailwind days, that ball is going to give you a pretty good shot at it. I'm just going to take a Zerk. It'll probably be headwind, but if I don't make it all the way over, and I always carry these snow globes, and I bought these bloodsucker balls because they were 5 wind just for this hole, just for it. I have used them on other holes. I've used those bloodsucker balls on other holes because I need the 5 side spin, but I bought those balls just for this hole, just for it. Practice, practice, practice. Have I taken like 7 hours to talk about just the first 3 holes? Thinking bag number 1. Bag number 1. No, only 41 minutes. I'll try and hurry on the rest. I'll do the rest in the next 5 minutes. I'm practicing some of these because I can't remember where the new pins are, so I want to take a look at them. Oh, that one's not bad. And you see, even with a topspin boost ball, you could make it over. But that 3-2 headwind's not going to do me any favors. It's going to lay it down about 5 miles an hour, and it'll be way short. Now, to show you, because I hit it out there with a 3-power ball all the time, and I'm even shorter than that. Usually with a 3-power ball, I know I'm going to be short, so I aim a little bit more towards the bottom instead of trying to bring it around and get that whip down that hill so that it continues to roll to the right. I will just pound it out into like the zone that's over on the left or the right hand side, because you can easily recover from there and just pitch it up and end up in the same exact spot that my opponent's trying to end up in. And I actually think that the shot from down there, and many times with your rough iron, if you're comfortable with your rough iron numbers, is just as easy, if not easier, than the shot that they'll have to take from up here. And you don't take the risk of doing that, because if you do that, now you're in some deep shit. Because now you won't be able to get into the ideal spot. But you'd be trying to get into where my ball guide's at right there, and so I could easily get up into that zone. But I'm just going to chip it up, because this is where I'd really like to be. It's just somewhere right here. Just make it over. And actually, that if I made it over and was that far away from the transitional line, that far out of the rough, that would have been a great shot. And I brought the wrong damn second club. I wanted to bring a Guardian. I prefer to take this with a Guardian, but something with more ball guide might work better. That's one of the downfalls of the Guardian, is it has all the tools I'm looking for, but on a shot like this, ball guide would be good. A Horizon actually might not be a bad club. For most of its life, it's not very, very damn accurate. And you can see where that ball's coming out. I would aim more on the top of that, towards the top of that hill, because you take a really big risk here that it'll bleed off and end up going into the rough when it takes that bounce, just like that. I would have aimed more to the left, and I would have put on left-hand side spin to try and straighten it out. You could almost do a rough bump. And you can see, like, there's my red line with that kind of distance. But if I had a big dog or one of those bigger hitting clubs, I would, my red line would be right there. So I'd have a much better shot at it. You'd think that it would be easy to come up from over here and do it, but it's not as good. It's not as good. I'm gonna try 3. And you need to practice this shot every time you can get an opportunity to do it, because you will end up in weird ass spots like this. I'm going to try and rough bump it out. If I don't clip the rough right here. That wind laid it down. Wrong club. Needed to bring a big dog. What was I thinking? Big dog, Cataclysm, Guardian. Although I'm starting to think I'm gonna bring a Horizon. Let's play this one more time. Now that you kind of get the gist of it, I'll just go out there and play it. And I'll take a bag that's got a Horizon in it. I'd be willing to burn one more Berserker. And the good news is that if you're in that spot down there, you can recover. So you're on in 3 and you're just getting the minimum score. So 2 bad shots and 1 great shot, and you're still getting birdie. This is a birdie hole with an eagle opportunity. From that spot, if you can get down there, you do have an Albie shot, but it's like that. That's a shit Albie shot. That's shit. You should always practice these shots so you can get confidence in them. One ring great to the left. That'll miss. Way to the left. I have hit a couple Albies on this hole, and I was like in absolute shock. You can get down. You can get yourself in a spot down there. And I've also had epic fails on this hole numerous times where I was in the right spot after the drive and then I overshot the green and I ended up in the rough behind it. And it's a tricky, the second shot is in many cases more technical and more tricky than the first shot. Let's play it one more time. Let's play it one more time. This time we'll go at it. I want to make sure I got the right bag here. Let's set up a bag. Let's set it up. I'm going to take... Which bag am I not using? I'm not sure I'm using this bag at all this tournament. So Extra Mile. Let's take a Horizon. It's a little bit shorter than the Big Dog, but it's got much better ball guide. You'll get a much better read. It's only a couple yards shorter. More topspin if you needed it. Accuracy wise, it's not too bad when it gets to level 7. Pretty much it hits the same as an Extra Mile. It's 2.1. Those should work. That should work. That is the bag that I'm going to set up just for this hole. We'll see. We'll see how the Horizon works on this. Hole number 3. Practice. Practice, practice, practice. Have to make a whole brand new notes sheet for this course. I don't have any notes at all. I'll go back and watch this video. I like to play them blind, and then I'll go back and watch the video. And the goal number 1, for those of you that are new to play tournaments, goal number 1 is not to worry about trying to make shots. Goal number 1 is to figure out what clubs and what balls you need to bring on each hole. That's your first practice round. How are you going to attack that hole? What direction do you want to come from, and what do you want to do, and what clubs and what ball are you going to bring? And then once you've established that, then you can go out there and then you can try and put your drive in the spot that you're trying to hit to, so that you can start establishing what your second shot, the shot to the cup, should be. There's no way I can fight against that wind, but I'm sure you can do it with a topspin boost ball. I'm sure of it. And that'll put me in the flat down there on the bottom. You can hit that rock and get a little bit of a bounce, but not much. I've aimed for that rock with the max overpower hook shot, hoping that I would hit the rock and be able to run off, and you can, but it's not something you want to count on. There are several other holes in the game that you can use the rocks and you get these spectacular bounces through the rocks, but these ones were rocks that were built early on in the game, and they really don't help you. They might, but they really don't. Just gonna lay it up. I just really want to be, I want to be as close as I can down here, because a lot of times you just barely make it out of the rough. That'll be a good second look. My opponent's also using a horizon. You can see how my opponent started way up there on the hill where they're by the rough. I'm not sure why the last opponent didn't do that. And they got that flat run. Ooh! And they did all of that miraculous stuff with just a quasar. Let's see what more distance I got. I like that a little better. I would have really liked, I have hit it far enough on the drive a couple times where I was actually like in this zone. I think when I got the Albies, I was up here. I really pounded that drive. So I'm thinking that these topspin boost balls that we have now are going to be huge. I think with that wind, that's perfect. Oh, and not freaking two rings great to the right. Clip the rough in the sand again. That's what I'm saying. The second shot can be difficult to work out, especially when you got headwind days. You got to practice that shot a few times so you can feel comfortable with it. I tanked both of those. I hit the one 2 rings great to the left, and then I hit that one 2 rings great to the right. With a Guardian, the thing about a Guardian is that you can get up there a little bit farther, and if you can get to the point where you can apply any kind of backspin on it at all, it's got, that's why I usually take a Guardian here, because if you're on a day like today where you did short shoot it just a little bit and you've got headwind, that Guardian, you can do a max overpower shot with a Guardian with impunity, especially if you could get in front of the sand trap. We will practice. Always practice these shots. Always. I'm always amazed people end up in the rough or the sand and then they take them really nonchalantly and they're all like, it's like, dude, if you practice that shot, you can get some confidence in it and then you might get better at it. Two rings great to the left. Seems like a very similar spot to where I was at last time. All right, we now know kind of what the look is on that hole, and that's what I'm saying. That's not, even if you get the drive right, the second shot is you still got some work to do. Pat yourself on the back. You got over to the fairway on the first shot. You put yourself in position. Now is when you got to go to work. And you really got to have the right stuff. So anybody out there that doesn't have a 5 power 0 wind ball for the days that we have tailwind, or a 5 power topspin boost ball with low wind on the days that we have headwind, this hole is, you're going to have to practice it like my opponent did, where you hit it to the top, lay it up, hit it forward, and then chip it on. That'll be your best bet. I think I'd still pound it out there into the rough and go for it. And if I didn't make it, I would just recover from there and put myself in the same spot my opponent was in and then take that shot. Me personally. Okay, hole number 4. Hole number 4. Another one of the par 3s. Which one is this one? Ah, this is the one I missed the putt on in the tournament. So there is a rough bump that you can do from here, and you want to aim just a little bit high of the cup. So the cup is here, and you want it to be on right at the top of the cup. And for whatever reason on that particular day, I hit it, and it rolled. And I've been nailing this all week. Like literally every other time I shot it, I made a hole-in-one. And on the weekend round, I hit it, and it just missed high, and then it rolled past, and it rolled down the hill and came into this area. So your putt is one of these types of putts up the hill, and I ended up missing it. So you can put yourself in a bad spot, and I do believe that it's a 10% adjustment on here as well. I'm going to take I think you can do it with a nav, but I'm going to take a Quasar just in case. Just in case. I will just deal with the wind, and I'm going to take a Grizzly. Here we go. Calculator 1.1 times whatever the wind is divided by 0.9. I think it's a max club. I could be wrong. I could be. If I can get an opponent. Okay, we can't win anything here, so just give me a replay and let's roll. OU 812. There's several different ways that you can go at this. You can start up on the green. It does have a little bit of a backboard there. You can bed the bounce over like my opponent's doing. See where their second bounce is at, where it's on that little ridge right there. And it's kind of in a little wonky area. You can get a little bit of an irregular bounce right there. Nice. Close. There's so much movement on this green. Now, I'm not sure with this new pin placement, whether we can do the rough bump, as a matter of fact. Do I have all the topspin on? I don't have any topspin on. Let's try a 2 power ball. Let's try a ball with more side spin. Try that out. See if the more side spin will get me up there. Maybe. How's that rolling in? It's coming in on the inside of it. See if I can straighten that out just a bit. This is why we practice. This is why it's fun when Dunner and I practice, because we can really dial it in. When we can get matched up. I should call Dunner and see if he wants to practice. Burn some tokens. It's always fun when me and him play. And we get hooked up, because we can really go at it. Where am I at in my club? There's max. There's min. So there's mid. So I'm about 60% if I was using a slider. Still that one top spin. It looks like it's just going to break right there at the end. Let me try that. 4.5. It's 4.95 rings, and I am definitely getting some distortion. Four side spin ball might work even better, but I don't have any. I barely hit that. I have to work on that. I think a four side spin ball, and I don't have any low wind four side spin balls. I have a 0 power four side spin ball. That might put me like maybe 3/4 club. But that's the only ball that I have that's got more than 3 side spin. If I dropped it down, or I'd have to go up, because I do have some bigger balls that have more side spin. I have some 3 power balls that have 5 side spin. I think that would put me more towards absolute mid. I might be able to get that done, but if there was days where we have to pull over that sand, so if the wind was blowing anywhere along this line on this side going in this direction, I'd have to adjust. I'd have to make an allowance for the sand. But if the wind was blowing anywhere on this side of the line, then I wouldn't have to adjust for it. It might still be possible. Otherwise, we're going to have to go straight at it. Where the pin's at now here, we might be able to just do the backspin shot and bring it down the hill, and do the same thing on the other one where you can walk your tail down the hill and just feed it right into the cup. You take the risk there is if you start up too high and you build up too much speed when it's coming down the hill, is that it rolls off this flat and rolls off. Then you have a long ass putt. Because there's a trough right here, and it can catch that trough and kind of funnel off towards this edge. We'll have to work on these par 3s with these new pin placements. It's exciting. All right, exit. Hole number... What hole are we on? Hole number 5. Hole number 5. Shit, we're only halfway through. All right. This hole right here... Okay, for years playing this hole, trying to come in, if you take this rough line, let's see here, this rough line right here, take this rough line, you draw a line out into the course, okay? If you're on this side of the rough line, so you're out in this area right here, when you're coming to the cup, you have an unimpeded, you've got plenty of green, you can get close, you can get far away, you can do whatever you want. The more you are on this side of the line, when you're talking about first bounce, now you have to you have to be in front of that rough line, so you're more than likely going to have to use a little more backspin, and the farther out you are. So I always for years just hit like right here. I wasn't trying to get like way out there into the deal. But the other problem that I had was if you come in here with a 3 power ball, I was always like, here's max and here's mid and here's minimum, and I was always kind of in between max and mid, and it didn't seem like if I used my max number I was wrong, if I used my mid number if I was wrong, if I split the difference, added them together and took the average, I was wrong. So what I did was I switched my second club to my Kingfisher. I went back to my Kingfisher from my Hornet, because my Kingfisher doesn't hit as far, and it put me more towards just max club. So if you find yourself where you're in this situation out here, you might, think about that you could switch. You could go to a smaller ball, but it does kind of help on the drive, depending on the wind, to bring out a bigger ball. You can take it with a katana. And we're bouncing from this area here around the tree, and I'm going to try and get it so that you can start off over here. And if you're playing from the back tee, starting off over here is more than likely what's going to have to happen. And you're going to go around the tree like this. There is a max overpower hook shot that you can do here, where you can literally get up here and get either in this area or on and one. But you can't do it with rookie wins. You got to do it with like expert wins. I'm just going to go from right here and try and bounce it around the trees. And I'm going to put curl on it. I'm going to be aiming fairly close to the edge of this tree, and I'm going to put curl on it and bring it around so that I'm not close to that tree. And I think I like to take this with my rock, but let's practice it. I think I can take it with bag number 2. And I'm going to use a... Let's see if we can get it done with a katana. Let's buy some katanas. So we have a few. I think it's better with a 3-power ball, but I can't remember where the new pin placement is, so I think the new pin placement's more towards the middle. It doesn't look like it's that far from where it used to be. Plenty of room. And I'm trying to get as far out there now. Now I'm not playing that where I'm trying to be close up. I want to try and get out there as far as I can. And you can get that scoot. Let's see. Let's try not to overshoot this. Let's do like 4.5. 2-3. 100% accurate club. 2-3. Lean just a little. Oh fuck! I touched it. I had my stylus on there, and I slid my ring finger across the screen and not released it from my stylus, and that's why I did that. I'll just shoot it over to where I was at, where I wanted it to be. What kind of deal is that, dude? That's the perfect spot right there. I've been trying to tell everybody that for years, and nobody wants to believe me. That's the perfect spot. Trust me. I wouldn't lie to you. Let's see if my opponent can have a little bit more success than I did. That doesn't happen very often, but I was getting lazy. I worked today, my hand's tired. Yeah, and that's the zone right there where like for years, that was where I hit. But I'm not sure that I'd want to hit there with that pin placement. Like I would want to be a little bit higher. Like where I really wanted to be was... Let's see where I'm at. $3.7. It's 2 per ring at this level. Max curl. Just curl it around it and put it out there. I think getting a little bit farther than where my opponent's at, you can see where you got that undulation in the course and where they're coming in at it. I think getting out there a little bit farther with this pin placement's definitely better. Getting all the way to the other side might be even the best way to go. Really trying to push your limit on the other side. The problem with trying to push your limit all the way to the other side is you could see the course out there was flattening out when I was setting that drive up. Rewind the video and you can go back and look at how the ball guy was reacting. And it's another one of those things that I said earlier in the video where this course is the first course that demonstrated that slide across the course. And almost every fucking hole in this course has that, you can achieve that effect. And so everything's going good. You went through, you got past the tree, you're out there in the fairway, and the next thing you know, you're sliding across the course and you end up in the rough. Come on, dude. Really? You paid a practice token just to do that shitty drive? Come on. There you go. Yeah, I think if my opponent was more where I'm at, like the shot coming in, you're a little bit straighter to the cup. Don't have to use as much side spin or any side spin. And just try and get the run out. Nice on. Okay, there's Max. There's min. There's max. There's min. There's mid. So I'm right at mid club. .0 divided by 1.6, 2.1 rings. .1 rings. Hitting it perfect. Get in the hole! In the hole! Now technically, I swear you're uphill from there because you can zoom down so down close, but I did add on 10% and I hit it at mid club. And I play my Kingfisher at 1.6 at mid. I like shots when you don't have to use any side spin. You can go straight at it because the side spin doesn't take effect until the ball hits the ground, and then if it hits the ground and it's on any kind of a slope, it like kicks it just a little bit harder, and it's easy to like pull your shots off because you got side spin. So I mean, sometimes we just have to use side spin, but if you can set a shot up so that you don't have to use any side spin, I feel like you're always better off. All right, there we go. We got to look at that hole. We got to look at it. Hole number 6. Hole number 6. This is another hole that can eat your lunch. All right, what I'm doing, there's several ways that you can go at it. You can try and lay yourself up here at the top. If you do that, even with a big power ball, you're still like you might be able to get a bounce through here and over to this side and give yourself a short chip, but you're not setting yourself up for success. And if you fail out here in this rough in this area, you're screwed. I thought for a long time that like if you got out in the rough, like because we don't really try and go that way, to hit up here at the top here and then try and bring it around. And it's possible if you got the distance, then you can catch this up here, but it's a very difficult shot. Very difficult. Very, very difficult. You can try and hit either. I would not recommend hitting off of this right here. It's a fucking ski jump. You can hit off down here at the bottom and try and get going this way and get out here to the tip. Or you can't really get around the bend here because of the way that the course is designed. It doesn't funnel towards the middle here. So like if you're in just like this zone where you're out in like this zone right here, you do have a shot, especially if you bring out a bigger club, you do have a shot at the cup. But I'm trying to get to right here, and I'm going to catch a bounce, hit the rough, bleed out. You can't do max topspin, and it's definitely, I think it's at least plus 10. It might be plus 20 on the drive. But we definitely want to adjust our drive so that we can get that bounce in there and then run it out. And it's easy to catch it here where you hit the rough and then you bled all the way across the fairway and you ended up in the rough on the other side. So you don't want to run all the topspin. And I'm going to just take a Titan, the king of balls. Titan, the king. Here we go. Hey, I don't want to play that. All right, here we go. Here we go. Hole number 6. Hole number 6, par 5. I need to go put some socks on. My socks got wet working today, and I took my socks off, and my new Crocs have the little bumps on the inside of them, and it's kind of hard on your feet. Hard on my tender little feet. Since I always wear shoes, I hardly ever go barefoot. I may sit in the chair in the house or chill out barefoot, but I never walk around without shoes on. I did a lot when I was a kid, but I am not a fan of that anymore. Plus, people give me shit about my toenails. I went into I've been getting pedicures since I was. And that sign that's there, I like to aim right at that sign. That's where I want to bleed out. Okay, so 3/7, so I'd be 4, it'd be 2 rings. And I don't think I have enough room to take off 2 rings. And this is really not a shot you want to use any overpower on. I'm 1 ring into power. I've been getting pedicures forever. When I was in high school, I wrestled, and then in college, and I just had issues with if my nails didn't get cut absolutely right. So very young age, I got introduced from a friend of mine's mom to nail places and started getting pedicures, and was like, holy, yeah, this is the shit right here. When they cut their nails and give you a massage, do the whole little deal. I used to get my nails clear coated, and when you're a guy and you go in and get your nails clear coated, they cheat you. So I was like, well, screw you. Because what they do is they just put the base coat on, and they don't put they're supposed to put a base coat, and then they put on the color, and then they do it all up. And then they may actually put color on and then come back with another clear coat over the top of it just to protect it. They give you a much better deal if you're a girl. And then they cheat you when you're a guy because they just figure you don't know any better. So I was like, screw you guys, I'm going to start getting my nails colored. That way you can give me the full meal deal. If you're, hey, and I've had people tell me, they go, you get your nails painted? It's like, if getting your nails painted threatens your masculinity, you probably weren't that close to begin with. You probably weren't. Now that is definitely uphill. But it seems like we do add on like 10%, but I'm going to just do a 2-3. Where am I at in my club? That would probably be helpful. I'm towards max. I'm just going to do a 2-3 and we'll see what happens. 2-3, max. Hey. Two, 3. Ah, hit it great to the left. I usually get them painted pink, but I quit and I was doing this really bright green, day glow green color, and I went in, not the last time, but the time before that, and the lady that does my nails is like, I was gone, so I was somebody else was doing them. She's like, why didn't you pick pink? And I go, you guys don't have the right color pink here. And so when I came in last week, she's like, hey, I ordered you pink because I know what pink you want. She goes, I looked at all the pinks that we had, and I know which one we were missing. We're missing Barbie pink. And she pulled it out, and it's like, yeah, that's it. That's the Barbie pink I'm looking for. So she gave me the bottle. That way you'll always have it. You're a regular. When I'm on the road working, I get a pedicure every week, whether I need it or not. When I'm at home, it's every 2. Sometimes every 3. There you go. That's how to play that hole. And you give yourself a shot at actually picking up the Albie. But you got to make sure you get those bounces right down there. And you don't, like I was doing some overpower. So on normal days, what I would have done is I would have brought out a 4-power ball. I wouldn't have wanted to hit that shot with overpower. It's too tight of a zone down there. If you're a little bit too deep into the zone, you'll bounce out and you'll roll off like my opponent, and you'll end up in the rough on the other side. And if you don't put enough power on there, you'll end up clipping that rough and you'll end up caught up in the rough. You really want to come through there with some consistency. Aim towards that little sign. It gives you a pretty good distance on the other side of that sign, because like the sign is right here, and then the fairway's it's deeper after the sign. If you had a little bit of right hand side spin on it, you might actually be able to stretch that distance out a little bit. So if it does come out just a little bit hot, you're at least making it as long as possible to the other side. Sitting here talking about nails and forgot all the stuff. What the hell is this guy talking about? I thought it was a guy that does that channel. Talking about nails. All right, this hole this has been a mixed bag hole. When this hole first came out, for some reason I fucking hammered it a bunch of times, and then it's like I got into a dry spell now. But I think the pin is on the front of this. And really, you do want to be deep in here. You can try and get over to the other side. You can bring out a big ball where you can pull back from the red line and start off in this area right here and try and bring it around and end up right here and have a straight up shot with a wood to get to the cup. It's kind of tricky when you're doing this because it breaks off. This is sloped up like right here up to the sand. So when you're hitting on this, I see a lot of people get caught up in the sand. You want to just kind of bleed off into this area, and you don't have to work really hard to do it. But if you're trying to get over to the other side, you can either start off over here and try and really blast it to get over to the other side, or start off in this area and bring it over. But you can get over here, and if you can end up on the fairway over here, you definitely have a superior shot. Let's try and get over to the other side. I'll just pound it out there. Take a APOC and we'll figure out what ball we need to bring. I can't remember on the shot to the cup. All of these holes, this is where elevation is all bullshit, because there's a lot of these holes that are uphill from where you're at, and if elevation was true, we should be taking wind off, and there's a lot of these holes that we're not taking wind off. We're still adding wind on, and it's uphill. There are some uphill shots to the cup that you have to take wind off, but there's a lot of them. It's not consistent. Like you can tell that the pin is 10 feet higher than where I'm standing, and it's only a -5. But if it was downhill in that same thing, it'd be +20. And so the elevation thing is, I'm not saying that there isn't an elevation adjustment, but it's not always an elevation adjustment. In many cases, it's just the bullshit adjustment that Playdemic came up with. Yeah, you can see how my opponent's trying to get, there's several different ways that you can try and get over there. Let's see how much that wind lays them down. Perfect. Perfect. Right here is the determining factor. That's it. Ooh. Let's see if we can make that a little bit better. I think even though the extra mile in this situation, even though the extra mile doesn't have that raw distance, the top spin is massive. Two, three. One ring great to the right. That shouldn't kill that shot. It's either going to make it through or it's not going to make it through. Bounce number one. Got enough slide going down the hill. There you go. Now I think from over here you're in long iron range. And I was wrong. I thought it was in the front, but it's actually pretty much where it was before, but further down the hill. It's on the flat. They're fun now, getting their tail working. See if they can get some backspin suck, and it is on a hill right there, so it might suck back a little. And in that situation, hitting it 2 rings great to the right, other than where they originally bounced, it's still going to roll. Lost some distance where it bounced. Utter garbage. Utter. There's Max Grizzly. There's Min. So there's Mid. Mid Grizzly. 1.1. 1.0 per ring. 1.0 plus 1. Man, that's a shit ton of backspin. I don't like that shot. Fuck, if I'm going to do that much backspin, I might as well try and bring it down the hill. .0 plus 1, 2, 2, 2, 3. I'm just going to do 2, 3. We'll see how close it gets. And I hit it 1 ring great to the right. close. I didn't like having to do that much backspin when you're that close, because of the way that terrain is. In the past, coming at it, if you were playing it with a wood, I always came at it from the left-hand side and ran my ball up the hill to the cup. I have to work on that, because I usually, like when you're in mid-club like that, you can just like a couple backspin, you can let it release out to the hole, but the way that this green is the terrain on this green, you're not going to be able to do that. You're going to have to come at it with some backspin. I'll have to think about how I'm going to play that. That pin placement might not be my favorite. I didn't really like the old one, but like this one might be even worse. We'll see. We'll give us another look at it. All right, hole number 8. Hole number 8. All right. 1.5 times whatever the wind is divided by 1. There are multiple plays. I see a lot of people play from down here. I for a long time played from right here, and then your second bounce would come down in here and you come to the cup. The problem was this area in here, you're super close. Your second bounce is super close to this rough. And if you don't make an absolutely, and you're way high at the cup from here. So like the wind adjustment you do from here versus what you do from here versus what you do from here is like they're way different. But I took this shot for a long time, but I have made a bunch of hole-in-ones on this doing the shot that I'm going to do right here, and I don't know that I'm ever. It'll depend on where the pin is, because this is the old pin placement. The new pin placement might not work. But I like to come in here with my Grizzly, do maximum backspin, maximum right-hand side spin, get the ball to come up the hill, and run it right down to the cup with a 50% wind adjustment at max club. And I believe I had to bring a katana. Maybe. Let's set that up. Let's take a quasar. But I think I had to bring a katana. Let's just take a katana. We'll start off with a katana and see what the deal is. Hole number 8. They probably have taken that shot out of here, but the old pin placement, I've taken this shot with maximum backspin, maximum right-hand side spin. You can walk your tail right down to the cup, plus 50%, bam, bam. If you hit a perfect, bam, hit a perfect, bam, in the cup, in the cup, in the cup. I made a lot of hole-in-ones on this hole doing this shot. I've made hole-in-ones in the other shots, but consistency-wise, and the other thing I like about it too is that you're starting off on the green side. There's no obstructions in your way. You've taken every trap out of play. If you screw the shot up and you don't hit perfect, you're just right off the cup. You make your short putt, you move to the next hole. If you hit perfect, you got a really good chance of it going in the hole. Now you can see their second bounce when you're up on the hill up there. Like you can see how close that is. Like, dude, that's not a very good shot setup. That is a piss poor shot setup. Should have got there on the side of the hill, but there is, if you can see to the left, there's a kind of a peak on that where there is a small little flat part on the top of that. And if you can get onto that flat part, you can actually get more towards where the cup is at. And the pin's further down the hill, so it might be a little harder. What's keeping me from getting my tail to the cup? Do I need a 4-side spin ball? So I pull it back, it's going there, and if I pull it forward and then it starts to get out of the zone, pinching it up, 2.9. I think maybe a 4-side spin ball. I might have to bring out a 4-side spin ball in order to bring it around that much. So once again, a 2-power 4-side spin ball. I don't have any of those. I do have a 3-power, 5-side spin ball. I'll hit it just so that we can see how close we can get. .5, 6.75 rings. There's 5, 6, 7, 5. Isn't it perfect? We'll see if we can get the bleed, if it'll bleed all the way down that hill, all the way to the cup. Yeah, it's just the side spin. You can see where it rolls off on the other side, right on the other side of the cup, and it rolls off, so it's making the tail wag. There's a spot out there. I'm going to have to practice that hole a few times to get the right spot, but there is a spot out there, and I'm not so sure that a 4-side spin ball wouldn't work better. But there is a shot, and the thing I like about that shot is that if you can get it dialed in, you put on the spin, you find the spot where the tail goes in there, and if you tank the shot, you're still on the green, you make a short putt and you move along. There's no risk, no fuss, no muss. You can't hit the rough, you can't hit the sand. You're going to be in the right spot every time. All right, this hole right here, they have changed the pin placement, and it's actually in a better spot. Is this the hole? Oh no, I was thinking of Parc de Paris. All right, this is a blind curl shot right here. And I think it's only like 2 topspin to get right out into the tip. The farther you can get down in here, now you can hit a shot from up here and try and get on, where you can either bounce over from here and try and get across, or you can bounce off the island and try and get across. I want to try and get in this area right here. If you can get deep enough into this zone with a 3-power ball, if you got a 4-power ball, it's even better. There is a rough bump that you can do, and if you can do that rough bump, it is superior. The trick is getting around this bend. And this is a shot that you have to practice, and you can do this with a low-level quarterback rock, but it is once again a blind curl shot. You're going to be like 3.5 rings off of this transitional surface. You're pointing off into this zone. You're going to do max curl to bring yourself in here. Got to watch your topspin. I think it's only 2 topspin. Let's try it. I'm going to take bag number 2. Bag number 2, and a Kingmaker. Heartbreaker. We'll practice it once. I think with a rock, it's 4 rings. I think. It's like 3 3/4. 4 rings off. But it's only a couple topspin. It's like 4 rings. I'm pulling back to like the +6 zone. Let's pull back to the +6. I'm 4 rings off of that. Look over to the right hand side. You can see where my white ring and the clear ring are. I'm +6, and I'm just 4 rings off. I think I need to be, we'll try it, 2.1. I'm going to do 10%, so I'm going to do 2.3. Max curl, no overpower. Isn't it perfect? I think I'm going to end up clipping the rough right just a little bit too much topspin, just 2. And I would have liked to have been just a little teeny bit away from that, so if I hit a grate to the right, I could have hit a 2-ring grate to the left and still made that shot. So what I really want to do is, if I'm setting the shot up, I want to set it up so that if I hit a 1-ring grate to the left, I hit a 1-ring grate to the right, or if I hit it perfect, it's perfect. And sometimes the 1-ring grate to the right is the perfect, and the perfect is just good, and the 2 rings grate to the left, I'm still in the fairway. You know, there's a lot of holes that's the way that the shot setup is, but on that one right there, because of the of the size of that fairway, I want to set it up so that I can catch it great to the left, right, or a perfect, and it goes in. So the way to fix that is to shorten up the topspin, and instead of like pulling it out is not gonna, like pulling, I was 4 rings out going like 4 1/4 is not really gonna help me. What will help me there is to, instead of going to the +6 mark, push it forward just a little bit so it's farther in its steel, and then I'll have to put on even less topspin. Because I really just want to just get right out into this area. Just be right here. Don't need to get all the way down there. So if I move it forward just a little bit, if I moved it forward 2 more clicks, so instead of being at +6, I was at +8. That pushes my shot forward more so that it opens me up on the right hand side. And I still stay 4 rings out. I might go 4 and just a titch, but that pushes the shot forward more. But then I'll have to cut my topspin from 2 and a little to like maybe 1 3/4. Because now I'm farther forward and more to the left. Made a lot of albies on this hole. This is a great hole to end the tournament. Should be at max sniper. Glad they missed that, so I can take my sniper shot. I'm gonna do a straight up shot. Plus 0.1. Right at max. We still got it. I'm gonna do 3.6. Look how close you can get to the rings here. I mean, really should be taking wind off. I should maybe do 3-4. I mean, look how freaking big those rings are. You can get right down to it. There's, wow, I grabbed the course, not the ring set. 1, 2, 3, 4. Getting it perfect. Still overpulled it. Need to take off maybe 5%. No, it was 3.5. 3.5 times 0.9 would have been 3.15. If I'd have taken off 5%, that would have been 3.3, and I did like a 3.4, and I was probably needed to take off 10%. So if you took off 10%, I would have pulled at 3.15 or 3.1, and I think that would have been 3.15, 3.2, right in there. I think that would have been much, much better. There you have it. That is the that was the shit. That must have been like a 2-hour walkthrough. An hour and 38 minutes to do a walkthrough scouting report. But we did play all the holes, so got a good look at them. New pin placements. Hopefully everybody has a great week. I will tell you that I don't see, like, there are some tough par 5s in here, and with the one par 5, depending on your ball inventory, if you don't have the right balls, this course is literally an 11 is the minimum score. If you have the right balls on that one hole, then you're looking at 12 as the minimum score. So, you know, there are a lot of opportunities to pick shots up, but we have to think of 12 as being our minimum score, even though 11 really technically is the minimum score. If you can pick that par 5 up because you brought out the right equipment, you're one up on half the bracket. Maybe 60% of the bracket, 70% of the bracket. So we have to go into it thinking that our minimum score has got to be minus 12, and then we're going to have to pick up at least a couple shots on top of that. And there are opportunities on those holes. The par 3s are, I think the pin placements on the par 3s have definitely taken out shots that we've done in the past on those par 3s that were very makeable. Like that last par 3, that backspin shot that I did right there before the ball guide, because of where the pin placement was, you could get it to go right to the cup, man. It was just a freaking beautiful shot. but now we may have to bring out different equipment to do it. So we have opportunities, but I'd still go into the week thinking that our minimum score needs to be -12, and we'll have to pull out something special on that one par 5. And if you don't have it, you will have to think of your minimum score as 11, but you're going to have to pick up one somewhere to make up the difference from the people at the top of the bracket that pulled out those balls. Because you got to remember, Playdemic is a ball manufacturer, and they sell balls just for that shit. Just for that. Have a good week. Thanks for watching. Hopefully everybody stays safe, and I will catch you in the opening round. If I can, I'll see if Dunner wants to play a pro round, and we'll play some pro this week with my odd account. I'm only going to play him that particular account in the 9-hole cups because I don't really need to practice. I'm just going to go out there and shoot him, but we'll see if we can get some content going this week. Thanks for watching. Everybody be safe.